Hello everyone, Girisha here. Welcome to this chit chat session with Shilpa, the CEO of BGig. Shilpa and I go a long way. We've been flatmates, so you can rest assured I know her pretty well and काफी बातें करेंगे. I've always been intrigued by the choices Shilpa made in her career. BGig is a platform where global tech companies hire skilled techpreneurs for their projects. So we are going to deep dive in gig economy, and this space personally interests me because freelancers were my customers when I was with Oyo Workspaces, and I also managed a big team of freelancers when I was scaling LiveSpace in Mumbai. So hopefully, I will bring some insights to this interview, and we will get to know Shilpa and her journey a little bit better. Welcome, Shilpa. It is great to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Girisha. I'm so excited for this conversation and it feels very nostalgic to be chatting with you.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we had a conversation like this was probably in our living room, and we didn't have to really worry about what we were talking because nobody was recording.
Yes, I think you just moved in from Bangalore and I had quit Godrej to start. How's that?
Yeah. So Bangalore was my first stint after ISB, and I had moved to Bombay, and I think we hit it off immediately because we were both from the same industry. Of course, we had very different paths, and I was always, intrigued by the choices you made. You worked for about 2 years and decided that you were going to branch out on your own. How did that come about?
So Godrej was great, right? I loved the company, the culture. I had a lot of autonomy to do things, and I ended up doing multiple projects there. Um, so there was a point in those 2 years when I felt that I am doing repetitive sales. I was in sales, right? And at that point, that just triggered me that I think I want to try out things. I'm meant for taking that risk and to do things that I really love. Plus, business to खून में है. Like my dad is a businessman. He's into textiles, and I've heard from my childhood, right, that some months business is amazing, some months it's not.
Yeah.
I've not seen that culture of getting salary every single month, and that's not what consistency meant to me. I've seen him hustling, and that's what I picked up. तो वैसे भी कभी ये माइंडसेट नहीं था कि मंथली सैलरी है तो स्टेबिलिटी है, ना ही अनसर्टनिटी से कुछ खास डर था, राइट? It was well accepted by me, my family. So out of curiosity of how it feels to be on your own, I started How's That. I started working with leading real estate companies, and identifying how I could help them reach out to their audience, how I could help home buyers to be able to identify their dream house. So that problem statement did sit well with me, and that's how I started my journey with How's That. और रही बात earning की, I knew that I will make 10x if of my salary if I started out on my own. I was just a fresher when I was in Godrej, so I felt उससे तो मैं better कर ही लूँगी, right? So that was my thought.
So you were an entrepreneur, micro entrepreneur. Even before this term became mainstream, right? You were connecting real estate developers with customers, matchmaking for residential properties for a fee, right?
That's right. And obviously, while doing that, the fact that industry was so unorganized, I kept seeing a lot of potential. I was always trying to understand what are the larger problem areas that I could solve, right? So it did start with that, but eventually, How's That became a platform where we solved for two very major things. One was how can we make it easy for a home buyer to identify which is the property that will suit their requirements the most. So we created a platform that could just simplify in terms of listing of all the projects. And the second major problem was um, to be able to visualize your home, your actual house that you're buying, and that's what we did with our visualization feature on the platform. So that's what How's That turned into.
And you did this at 23? That is amazing. And as far as I remember, you did not hire a single full time employee, and you basically ran How's That with a team of freelancers, right? And I can already sort of draw parallels, with BGig and how it's trying to sort of organize the gig space. And like now, for example, in absence of a platform like BGig, a techie would find contractual work through ex-employers, referrals, ex-colleagues?
Exactly. So BGIG is solving the problem of connecting skilled techies with top companies. For techies, we are democratizing access to high-paying jobs, gigs that they love, and for companies, we provide access to pre-vetted talent that they can hire on demand. Almost like in 48 hours. So that way, it's a win-win for both. It also breaks geographical barriers, right? There's nothing that stops a company in US to hire a techie in India. In fact, a study by Zenov and Microsoft says that 33% of the workforce, IT workforce, is going to be gig workers in the next 3 years.
3 years, that's crazy, right? So the opportunity is clearly huge.
It is. It's going to get really big in the coming few years, and I think this is the right time to be in this space.
Okay, wait, but we were talking about house dad. So did you make 10x of your salary?
Well, yes, I did. In fact, I made 17x of my salary. But that was not it, right? It was a roller coaster journey. First 10 months, I didn't make any money.
I remember तभी हम साथ ही रह रहे थे, and I know that you were having a really rough time the first few months.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect, right? That was the year when demonetization happened, when GST introduction happened. Real estate saw a completely new act. RERA came in.
Yeah.
But that phase was exciting for two big reasons, right? Those are the 10 months when I realized what patience actually means and what it is to believe in yourself. And it paid off in the next 12 months. I made a lot of revenue. And I obviously grew the business to the level that I was recognized as a brand, and in the space in real estate. But that's when it also made me feel very strongly that I want to do a business now, which is solving a particular problem, which is scalable, and I was very curious to understand global landscape. That made me decide to do MBA at IE Business School, and I thought to reinvest all the money that I had made in that 1 year into a self-sponsored MBA.
That is so amazing. You were what, 25 maybe at that time.
Yes.
And to sponsor your entire masters, and that to MBA at a good school, that's a lot of money. So that's amazing, right? And I do want to like bring this up here, that you sort of saw success in a field where women are abysmally underrepresented, right? So 23% of the workforce is women in India.
Yeah.
And real estate sees only 12% representation of women.
Oh, absolutely. I know it firsthand of what it is like to not have women role models in the industry. जब आप किसी को देखोगे ही नहीं at the position that you aspire to be in, you will start limiting your aspirations. This is how women define a ceiling for themselves, and it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy in many ways.
And not only is there a lack of role models, I think हम उल्टे चल रहे हैं, right? So I was reading somewhere that the attrition estimates for women in the technology sector is about 30 to 40%. That's a huge number, right? So on one hand, we say that women need to participate in the workforce, and we will need more women participation. On the other hand, हम सिर्फ backfill कर रहे हैं, right? So it's like trying to fill a pot with too many holes. And we keep hearing a lot of conversations around this topic. But if we truly need to solve for this, I think we need to really figure out what works for women and build systems that are conducive to make this increase in participation in the workforce actually happen. Like too many times we just make it sound like it's a zero-sum game. But I don't know, does it have to be that way?
This is a very important point. Firstly, a lot of women want to be financially independent. Our society is structured in a way that even today, the primary responsibility of childcare, elderly care falls largely upon women. So even if women are super ambitious, super educated, they are dropping off, like you said, right? They're having to choose one over the other. And the way work itself is structured, it's forcing them to make a choice. As we know, a big part of India's growth story is more and more women joining the workforce. अभी 20-23% है, उसी को बढ़ाओ ना. So if current reality is that women aren't able to make it to office for a 9 to 5 job their entire length of their career, right? And for many reasons. I mean, they could be a recent mother, or they are taking on a role of primary caretakers, right? All legit choices. It doesn't mean that they want to fall out of the workforce. And if they can't go to work, then we need to bring work to where they are. That's where remote working comes in, right? We need to carve out a space where they can take on things that they want at the pace they want. And gigs play a huge role here, right? Platforms like us will play a huge role in a space like this where women can tremendously grow.
When on a career break, women are faced with so many problems. Their confidence takes a hit, and it becomes even harder to re enter the workforce. I feel like, women might want to take up gigs as a way of working, like as a proper career path. In fact, when I was managing a bunch of freelancers at LiveSpace, um, all of them took on projects, at the pace they wanted, in the quantity they wanted, and it worked out perfectly for us. So I feel that, looking at gigs as a stopgap arrangement, that needs to change, right? Gigs could simply be a way somebody wants to sort of their career to pan out, right? And which is why I think, B-Gig is very interesting, because that's exactly what you're doing with women in tech. So there is demand, tech talent is valuable, the projects are long, and, lucrative even. So why could gigs not be a career option for women in tech? And actually, the point I'm making is that we need inclusivity at all levels. So if we want to say that, women need to be a major part of the workforce, then we need inclusivity, and we need to solve for many use cases, like women that, drop out of jobs because they are primary caretakers or recent mothers, or women that, cannot travel because they're, women or men actually cannot travel because they're located in some remote place, recent mothers and even fathers who want to spend more time around their kids, and in general, like, of course, this, like, digressing a little bit, but in general, for Gen Z and millennials who really look at work very differently as compared to, how we saw work like 10 or 15 years back. But anyway, and I believe this is not the first problem that you're trying to solve at scale. You try to do the same at Crew Story.
Oh yes, and in fact, I had incubated Crew Story when I was doing MBA at IE Business School. Um, True Story came out of the problems that we saw during our Hazard journey of working with so many freelancers. The whole process was offline, and we felt that uh, why are we, dealing with problems because and everything was manual, right? So automating it made a lot of sense, and that's why Crew Story started connecting telecalling freelancers with companies through a platform. Um, we were trying to automate the entire offline process. However, that idea did not take off because we were stuck with tech. It was so hard to find a technical co founder who would align with our vision.
Yeah, and you were mentioning in your on deck cohort this year, there were so many founders that were looking for a tech co founder.
Yes, I'm a part of this community of early stage founders called On Deck. And a month back, I was in SF attending IRL events. In one of our meetups, when we were understanding the demographics, about 60% of the founders were non-tech, and most of them were there in the room looking for technical co-founders. And it was difficult to find one, not because it's a skill set problem, but because it's difficult to align on vision and other cultural aspects. Skills cannot be the only criteria for which you would zero in on someone just because they will take care of the tech, which is why I love the idea of fractional CTO at BGig. This way, you don't have to give out too much of equity early on. You can take your time to find the right fit, while your GTM timelines do not suffer.
Oh, this is quite cool, and this is mainstream. Like, a lot of people are doing this.
Oh yes, and which is why we've built a pool of about 10 fractional CTOs that are onboarded on our platform. And they are fractional CTOs for more than one company at the same time. If they gel well with the founders, they could also become co-founders and CTO full time.
But you would still need somebody that is really committed till you go to market, right? Like, why would a fractional CTO sign up for a gig?
Because people are passionate about the kind of projects they want to work on. Someone may have a preference of not working for a product, for 3 to 4 years, but may just want to conceptualize it until it goes to market. In fact, we've done this at BGig, like we've done this ourselves. Our own product is being built by a fractional CTO, along with a team of freelance developers.
Very interesting. I learned something new. I didn't even know something like this existed. But like, do you think India in general is ready to see its workforce do gigs? Like, and I think I want to come at this from two vantage points, right? One is from the perspective of employers, which we'll get to later. But like 30 years back, इंडिया में ये था कि गवर्नमेंट जॉब है तो स्टेबल हो, राइट? एंड देन फिर इट शिफ्टेड टू ठीक है गवर्नमेंट जॉब है या एमएनसी में हो तो स्टेबल हो. धीरे धीरे लाइक लास्ट 3-4 years में लाइक स्टार्टअप कर रहे हो या स्टार्टअप में जॉब कर रहे हो तो पीपल जनरली एक्सेप्टेड.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that is stability or not in the current context, but it's generally largely acceptable कि ठीक है
Yeah.
startup में job कर रहे. But if you are a solopreneur, right? Do you think कि मतलब ये तो क्या ही कमाता होगा या कमाती होगी, या like इससे शादी कौन करेगा, इसकी तो income inconsistent है. Do you think some of these perceptions are largely present in the Indian context?
थोड़ा perception issue तो है ही, but it's like any new idea, before it becomes accepted. I think we've come a long way from seeing a government job as stability to working in startups becoming a norm. और अभी ये नया है, right? It might take some time, but I see real shifts. And overall time to acceptance has shrunk drastically. So as new ideas crop up at high speed, and the world shrinks, new ways of living and working are also going to get incorporated at a much faster pace. Gig working is well accepted in countries like the US, and in the last 3 years, it has accelerated even more because of COVID. So even the mid-senior management in all organizations is now primed to use tools that will facilitate that. This has further accelerated acceptance of gigs. And we're already seeing that India has become the second largest economy in the world when it comes to gig working. I think the perception of gig working is evolving, particularly in tech industry.
And how do potential employers perceive gig workers? So let's say a gig worker wants to come back into the workforce. Do they still have to explain the gap, or it is widely accepted that gig workers can join the workforce without sort of that diluted perception that you were doing something part-time?
It depends on the organization, right? I would say that startups like us probably do not care about the gap if somebody has done gig working. In fact, we kind of credit that. But traditional setups may not be involved to the point where that is completely accepted. And employers do tend to, perceive gigs as a gap and expect some kind of explanation. So I won't deny the fact that India has completely evolved in that from that perspective, right? Companies are still trying to understand, what is a journey of a freelancer.
But traditional companies are employing gig workers for some of the projects, right? I mean, it makes sense to convert some of your fixed payroll cost to variable cost, especially if the projects are seasonal or they are a burst where you need a gig worker for some time, and then you don't really need a full-time employee in your company. So I feel that as more and more companies start utilizing gigs, right, in the traditional setup, I think this perception will change.
That's true. I would say that slowly but surely we are moving towards valuing skill set over degree. What one brings to the table is beginning to matter way more than how much full-time experience someone has.
Some of the benefits of working in gig space would include flexibility of place, time, etc. But there is also seasonality, right? So while there is perception, and that's a separate question, isn't it true that you might be busy at some times, not so busy at other times, and therefore the money would flow in some times and not flow in other times?
Well, yes, but in tech gigs, projects are longer and quite well paid. Demand is high. So it is not that big of a concern, especially in the tech freelancing space. But there will always be seasonality and variation in how much a gig worker makes. And that's true, I agree.
Correct, and that would probably mean that gig working is not for everyone.
Yes, absolutely, right? As a gig worker, you need to have a business owner mindset. You have to be really disciplined to get the benefits of gig working and accept that some variation in income will happen as a trade off to all the benefits that one is, getting out of gig working.
And I'm sure there are also issues of isolation around remote working. Plus, I feel that you can never sort of replace the value of meeting real people, sharing a cup of coffee, having a casual conversation at work. What do you think?
I agree, right? Which is why we need to build communities for gig workers where they can come together, share their views, learn from each other, learn from industry experts. And this is what we do at BGig as well, right? We've created a community. And interestingly, freelancers don't just get gigs from us, they get gigs from each other. They tend to share opportunities, create a team, and we are seeing new trends happening through our community.
I can see what you're saying, Shilpa. This is good stuff. And as we wrap up, I wanted to ask you, what does the future hold for BGig and where do you see yourself heading in the next 5 years?
Oh, I'm quite excited to answer that, Girisha. I think we have a chance to build something truly global, and that most workplaces will end up being a mix of gig workers and full time employees. I agree that it's still at a nascent stage, the industry in India, in terms of gig working. But we want to scale this for tech talent in a very, very big way. We are building for equity. We are building for organizations and people in the workforce who might be at various stages, right, in their lives. Tech giants like Tech Mahindra investing in us gives a lot of validation to BGig. But these are early times, and we want to be a voice for all stakeholders while being nimble and quick to adapt as the needs of the industry evolve.
Lofty goals, Shilpa. As always, I wish you good luck. And thank you for sharing so candidly.
Thank you, Girisha. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And thank you all for joining us. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Have a good day.